Allie. Of all of the instruments in the world, why is it that you've decided you want to play the bagpipes? First and foremost, I am wearing pajamas. I have decided that I'm going to value comfort over anything else today, and my dogs are in the room. They are presently laying on the floor. I'm going to take a picture and then insert that into the video because they're very cute. Hi, Cass and Faye. Right. If you are not aware, I did write a tune for each of them and put it on my album, so you can listen to that and love them through sound and song. Anywho, why bagpipes? To properly understand the answer to that, we have to start a bit earlier in my timeline. So it is said by my mother, who I do not know to be a liar, that I was humming and singing little tunes before I even started talking. So I believe her. If you don't want to believe her, that is okay. It is not necessarily pertinent to the story, but she does tell it to everybody, so I therefore am telling it to you. I didn't start playing Celtic music until later in my life, though. We actually start with the piano. I started taking piano lessons when I was 7 years old after a family friend gifted us a keyboard, and my mom couldn't get me away from it. I started trying to teach myself little songs. I started writing songs as soon as I could, very poorly trying to write sheet music for them as well, but I just couldn't get enough, so my mom got me into piano lessons, again, when I was 7. When I was young, my older brother tried desperately to teach me the guitar, but as we will get into later, strings and we do not get along very well because I have hypermobility in all of my fingers, so I could show you if you would like. Trigger warning if you are queasy about hand finger things. There she is. The fingers just pop right out. I do have arthritis and I am hypermobile still, but less than I was as a child, but that made learning strings very difficult, so I tried guitar desperately, but it's just not comfortable, so I gave up on that one. We tried very hard when I was young to get me into voice lessons, but we had issues. I had a teacher, she moved away. One of my school teachers didn't think I was old enough to start voice lessons, and so despite not being able to find a voice instructor when I was little, I did sing all through that time as well. When I was 10 in 4th grade, it was time for me to choose an instrument, and my mom encouraged me to learn clarinet because that is the instrument that she grew up playing in school, and so I did. I started learning the clarinet. I fell in love with that, again, very quickly, but wanted more. It wasn't enough for me. So then when I was in 6th grade, I took up the saxophone. I continued to play clarinet and took saxophone lessons on the side because I wanted to play in the jazz band when I got to middle school, and I did. I was lead alto. Shortly after that, I wanted to start cycling my way through the other woodwinds, so I picked up the flute, the oboe, things of that nature, some of the other different types of saxophones, and I loved it all. I did try to dabble in brass. I have a trumpet. I am not very good at it. I know enough to show the basics to a beginner, but I do not perform on it. It is not my forte. Mind the music pun. Then when I was 12 years old, so this is around the saxophone and flute time, my stepdad legally adopted me through the legal court system here in the States, and my name became hyphenated, so I became Crowley Duncan. After getting adopted, my grandma on my dad's side brought me into a little section of their house and brought out this box of stuff and started showing me things like the Duncan tartan, the family crest, and teaching me a little bit about the clan and the Scottish heritage that comes along with their side of the family and with the name that I now carried. After this, being the dork that I was, I started a whole big research project on Scottish history and Scottish music, and I just wanted to know everything that I possibly could, and I stumbled upon this thing called the bagpipe. Bagpipes are the national instrument of Scotland, so it was only a matter of time before I found them, or they found me. And shortly after this, my parents and I went to a local parade, and we saw a bagpipe band marching down the street. My 12-year-old brain could not comprehend how they worked at the time, so don't worry, you're not alone. And if you do want to know more and haven't already seen it, I did make a How Bagpipes Work video that I will put in the little whatever, or is it on this side? The icon. I don't YouTube. We're working on it. So after this, I started my little hyperfixation period on the bagpipes. However, I didn't start learning until I was 14, so I had to cope with not having bagpipes for a little while. This right here was my gateway into learning how to play the bagpipes. I got this as a Christmas gift, and it is called a practice chanter. This is what I started learning on. This is what everybody starts learning on. If you're interested, I will make a how to learn bagpipes video, so let me know in the comments below. But this is how I started, and I learned all of the foundational skills on this little thing here. And then I started on bagpipes about 6 months later. Now, bagpipes really stuck with me because I still am, but especially in my teens, was a hyper-competitive child. I loved sports, I loved games, I loved anything that could pit me against other people and prove me to be superior. So the bagpipe band that I was a part of, which was a youth band full of other competitive teenagers, was a great way for me to express all of that competitive energy. Circling back to the guitar issues, I am hypermobile. We later found out that I have a connective tissue disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So I was often broken as a child. I was constantly sustaining injuries. I injured most of my fingers while I played basketball, broke my ankle 4 times, lots of sprains, lots of, just again, injuries. No, I wasn't accident prone like I thought. I actually just have a chronic illness. So super great. I was diagnosed with hypermobility when I was 16, but wasn't diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome until actually just last year. Needless to say, sports and I were not destined to be a perfect match, so bagpipe competition became my new thing. You can see I am directing to the medals on the wall how competitive I was. I competed very, very heavily for a number of years, from 2011 until my very last competition in 2017. I went all over the eastern US. I competed over on the West Coast in Vancouver. I competed in Scotland. I actually won the World Pipe Band Championships shortly after I started in 2012 with a youth bagpipe band, and that was a very nice kickoff to the bagpiping career. Ultimately, I moved away from competition after I graduated from college because in college, it was really hard to manage the travel of competition, and then afterward, I needed to work. So I stepped away from competition. I went for music, by the way. I got a music degree in college. I became super invested in music theory, and that ultimately is what kind of led me to doing what I'm doing now, which is trying to play the bagpipes in less conventional ways, trying to weasel my way into genres that bagpipes are not typically found in. So that's the story. That's why bagpipes. I still play all of my other instruments, which you can see in a couple of my videos here on my platforms. I still love all of my instruments equally. It's just the bagpipes have opened more doors than anything else I could have ever imagined. I did study bagpipes as part of my degree, as well as voice and piano, and I do teach voice and piano still, and I love my woodwinds. I love everybody, but bagpipes, of course, will always have a special place in my heart. You can hear all of my other instruments as well as vocals on my most recent album, The Pipes Are Calling, and I would definitely love it if you would listen to that. I will have it linked in the description as well and all the places you can find my music. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any other things that you want to know, please leave them in the comments below, and I very much look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye!